time for Two Guys and a Goalie with Dustin Nielsen, Matt Cassian, and the goalie, Joaquin Gage.
Hello, everyone, and happy game day. Game 2, Western Conference Final, Edmonton Oilers, Colorado Avalanche. We are streaming live here with Two Guys and a Goalie. And, of course, you can also subscribe and listen to the podcast as well. If you are listening to the podcast, we appreciate the download, that is for sure. Two Guys and a Goalie, brought to you by our partners at CoolBet. If you're looking to place a little wager on Game 2, may I suggest the over in this series? Hop online at coolbet.com. And if you're not yet signed up for an account, use the code 2Guys when you do sign up. Cass, Gager, what's up, boys?
Well, I'll go first. Very productive morning this morning.
Really?
It was good. Yeah. No,
Feels
I
good,
mean,
right?
Yeah. The sun's out. It's so nice. Working from home is kind of nice too. I mean, my dog passed away like last fall, so getting the lawn back together. I did some outdoor work in the morning just to get going, and I bought a big, huge pork loin that I tied up and I braided it with thick hickory smoked bacon. I threw that on the smoker early, so I got these 2 big braided pork loins wrapped in bacon going, and just got some work stuff going. I got that smoke thing. It's just a good morning altogether. And now a hockey game soon. Like, this is ridiculous.
Let's be honest. You sat around for 3 hours watching Formula One highlights. I mean, I know you
It was
said
on the
you had this
background.
great morning, but come on.
It was on in the background.
Let's not be kidding around. That sounds like a very nice, productive morning, Gager. I like that. Cass, have you two had a productive morning?
Yeah, it's been productive. Worked from home for a little bit this morning, and then I had to go off for a coffee with somebody, and actually bumped into a friend of the show and also Oilers alumni Jason Strudwick, who was wearing a real nice golfing visor. He had just finished playing around, so said hi to him for a second.
He's a visor guy, hey?
I guess so. He was wearing one.
Wow.
I mean, he rocks it.
Yeah.
He does pretty well. I think I'm a good judge of fashion these days, so he did okay with it. And so it was good. Then just kind of rushed back, and I told you guys I had to fight an old lady for a parking spot.
Give me the spot, you old bag.
She won the fight, so I had to wait, and I was a couple minutes behind getting in here to do this, but that's okay. We're good.
It's funny you mentioned that you're a fashion guy lately because you're wearing this shirt today. And I said, the moment I saw you, I thought of something. I said, I'll wait till we're doing the podcast. I see that, and I swear I grew up on this show. You're Mr. Furley from Three's Company. That's a straight up Mr. Furley shirt. You don't even know who Mr. Furley is from Three's Company? Look him up.
Mr. Furley is? Wow.
Gager, does that look like a Mr. Furley shirt?
It does. Yeah. What a great show.
Oh, Three's Company was amazing. Yes, see? You see it right now. You're like, oh, yeah.
Maybe even a little bit of, he's more Larry, I would say, Dusty.
A little Larry. Yeah. Well, with the hairstyle, looks like a little bit of a Larry going on.
What's
that's for sure, yeah.
How many buttons are undone on that bad boy, Cash? Is there? It's pretty tight.
Just one.
Right up, nice and tight. Yeah,
you got to let go.
Yeah, that's terrific. Hey, before we get into, we're going to spend most of this episode on Game 2, and if they're going to run it back or however you approach Colorado, Francouz starting instead of Kemper, all that. Gage, let's start with you, buddy. Rangers and Lightning. Huge win for the Rangers in Game 1. Did you have a chance to check much of that thing out?
Yeah, I watched I turned it on, and there was a goal right away. And it was funny because the immediate thoughts was everyone was saying, this is going to be a battle, goalie battle. And the first shot goes in. It was a great play. And probably I believe, I think in our early episodes, you had mentioned about how good a player Mika Zibanejad was. And that guy is phenomenal. He's superstar status in my book. This has been a coming out party for him for the playoffs. Him and Kreider are just magnificent together. Great duo. To be able to solve Vasilevsky like they did, and they got that kid line going, man. The Rangers. I was funny. I compare the Rangers to that movie with Kevin Costner, the pitching one. Is it
Waterworld?
No. What's the one with where it's his last game there? What's that called? Anyway, he pitches the perfect game. But the kid comes up at the end that he runs into in the hallway, and he said, "You played with my dad." And he goes up and the manager goes up
For
there
the
and
love-
says
are we-
wreck it.
For the
And
love of the
Kevin
game.
Costner.
Love it.
Yeah. And love of the game. Yeah. And so Costner goes, "Oh, there's no scaring you, is there, kid?" Muddles under his breath as he's pitching to this guy. And that's how the Rangers are. They just look like a team possessed, full of confidence, and really thinking that they can win this thing. So that's going to be very difficult for for Tampa Bay to come back. They didn't play a good game. They did look like they'd been off for 9 days, but definitely you got to feel better about yourself by blowing 6 past Vasilevsky.
The only fear I would have is that Tampa comes back with a vengeance.
Yeah, big wake-up call after not playing in a while. And
after not playing in a while and kind of rolling through Florida, that this wakes them up. But yeah, DJ Zbad. So Mika, I still think it's one of the worst trades in Ottawa's history. Like, and really, if you look at all the good players that they moved, like they could have a fantastic team right now. Like, if you look at their actual draft success, some of the guys they had there and have gone through, like, could have an unbelievable team, but they just can't keep guys, or they just trade them away because of the money issues and cap issues and all kinds of other stuff. But yeah, Mika's he's a player. He's an absolute player, and maybe gets a little bit overshadowed because of Panarin, like where the focus is more on Panarin than him. But yeah, he's a player.
For anybody who was anybody who was wondering when you said the trade, Cass, let me just quickly recap it here. The Ottawa Senators trade Mika Zibanejad and a 2nd-round pick for Derek Brassard and a 7th-round pick. And they made that trade on July 18th, 2016. And Zibanejad was coming off a 21-goal, 51-point season as a 23-year-old for Derek Brassard. And gave up a 2nd.
And I could have told you, like, based on playing him in 2013, what his trajectory was going to be. Like, I could have told you as a 19-year-old when he was 19 and I was playing with him in 1920, like, what a bad trade.
I wonder what Gregor would have to say about that stick he uses too. Because that's
Zibanejad? He'd have an opinion on it. We can certainly say that. All right, Oilers and Colorado Avalanche, boys. We haven't talked since everything went down in Game 1. Cass, let's start with you on this thing. Coming out of Game 1, a lot of talk about the offside, whether it was offside, it wasn't offside. I mean, if you want to hit on that, certainly go there. But what else did you see from the Oilers that certainly's got to change heading into tonight?
The offside, non-offside doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Quit complaining about it, because it didn't have enough, like, it affected the game, but that wasn't the game. The game was that the Edmonton Oilers could not protect the middle of the ice. Was that it was way too easy, and they struggled to have a defender back and to stay on top of this speed that Colorado attacked with. That to me was the story of the game. And moving forward, they're going to have to clean it up where their third forward high, their support centerman or winger in the offensive zone has to do a better job of reading when Colorado jumps, because someone's jumping every single time. One of the forwards is jumping every single time, and you have to read it. They didn't, and that's where the defenseman got caught outside the dots, and there was way too much room, and they gave up all kinds of opportunities coming back into their own zone. So they gotta clean it up. That to me is a story. I think it was onside. That's my opinion of it. I can understand where people would say it's not, and the whole issue of control or not control, and I get that. So, I think you can make an argument that it should have been whistled down, but at the end of the day, that wasn't the goal that broke the game. That wasn't the goal that, caused them to give up 8 goals or 7 really with the empty netter. Like, it was one mistake in a series of mistakes, and really even on that goal, like, I don't think Mike Smith was horrible. I don't think he had a lot of help, but that one he should have had. A shot from that far out, not like there was too much traffic. He should have made the save on that. He was just too far back in his net.
Gager, what'd you make of all of that? And Mike Smith's performance in Game 1, another interesting Game 1 outing for Smith.
Well, I struggled with the offside call, with the whole, does he have possession of the puck? But over reviewing it over and over, I can see how it's not offside. Like, the goalies kind of do that with the trapezoid too, right? They play it into the trapezoid and then play it on the other side of it, kind of to not play it in there. So I do kind of get it, but I mean, not handling the puck, does that make you, like, if you get hit and you're stick handling, but you put the puck in a different area, is that all of a sudden interference? it was weird, but I do get it. I do think it's a goal. It's weird that wasn't explained to all the teams and the video guys before, like those types of incidences. Because I mean, I think it did cost the Oilers just because their knowledge of that play resulted in a power play for Colorado, and they scored on it. So kind of unfortunate there. Mike Smith, I thought he was ordinary, right? That's
a fair way to describe him, right? Like, we're not hanging it on him, but he was ordinary. Yeah,
he was definitely just normal. I do agree with Cass there. He's got to stop that Makar shot. But again, I think there was a lot of lack of communication with the Oilers. Like I look at the Cogliano goal as the one goal that really killed the Oilers, and it started with just Cassian kind of bumping it back to the point, not looking, and Keith was darting down, hoping for something to develop there, and basically Cassian started a 2-on-1 for the other team. So some miscommunication there. I think that's a huge part of it with the Oilers. I just felt it just seemed like they were a little bit out of sync, and I don't know if there were just certain times of the game where you can yell and scream at your partner for switches, especially with these Colorado D-men, to recognize who's got who or where guys are on the ice. I'm sure it'll be a lot better today, but and just look for Mike Smith to bounce back and have a better game. He's got to be really good to beat this Colorado team. I think Colorado's the Stanley Cup champion right now. Like, they look like it, and for them to beat them, Mike Smith's gonna have to be great.
Cass, Gager laid out, communication issues. You talked about, getting that third forward high and filling some of these open spots. This all seems like stuff that can very much be adjusted to, pointed out by the coaching staff, and bounce back here in game 2, right? Like, there's nothing that we saw from the Oilers in game 1 that is something that they themselves can't overcome, right? You're muted. Come on, Mr. Furley.
It's so old. I don't know where the button is. Tell me how does this thing turn this thing on. Yeah, I don't think it was Edmonton getting overwhelmed. Like, I don't think it was like it wasn't like Edmonton played a great game and Colorado played a great game, and Colorado was just miles and miles and miles ahead of Edmonton and where they are. Like, they're right there. Fixable stuff. You really have to work. I think one of the things is you are going to have to be talking to your defensemen in particular about timing their pinches and timing when they push, like Gager, you were just talking about with Keith and the communication, timing that stuff well. Because if you don't, Colorado is a better team than LA, and they're a better team than Calgary, and they'll light you up, and they did because of that. Now, if you can sort that out, and if you can get a little bit better back pressure and backtracking support from your forwards, you're going to be okay. So it's all fixable stuff. I'm not freaking out here about the series after the one game. Like, it's fixable. If they clean it up tonight, they'll be in this one. They'll have a chance to win, and hopefully they do get the split. And if they get the split, we're all happy coming back to Edmonton.
That'd be huge. It's huge. Like, tonight's game is, I laid out some stats earlier in my show today. If a team goes up 2-0 in the East or West final, they win 93% of the time. Like, that's a pretty big hill to overcome. You got to go 4 of 5 against Colorado if you lose tonight, which is not going to be easy. But if they get the split tonight, it's like they've got all the momentum. They're coming home. Tonight's game is just a massive, massive game at this stage of the season in this series against this team, with it being the Colorado Avalanche. Now, it looks like, and Jay Woodcroft has done it before, where it looks like he's going to run the same thing in the morning skate, and then all of a sudden, boom, he'll hit you with something. So, Gager, any thoughts on going 11-7 and dialing back Darnell Nurse a little bit after his game 1 performance?
I would go back to 11-7. Just seeing how Darnell's moving. I think he's, I don't want to say limiting his ice is not the right word. Just getting the most out of Darnell with slightly lower minutes. I think that will be able to get the best out of him, just because he's not the player that he normally is, and he's hurting. I mean, everyone's hurting at this time. He's going to be targeted by the Avs. They're going to be finishing every check possible against him, and it just gives them a safety valve with an extra D and keeps everyone fresh. And look, they did it for the better part of the latter part of the season with, and it worked quite well with them. So getting Connor McDavid more involved, hopefully Leon can do a little bit more damage on his own line and go from there.
Cass, what do you think? How would you approach that, buddy?
I don't mind the 11-7. Darnell, I think you can see he's still banged up. He's still banged up. But I think you combine that. I said this on JMO's show yesterday on TSN 1260 here in the city. I said, I think it was a combination of him being banged up and he had a bad night. Like, I think they both happened at the same time.
Which then it really looks bad, right?
Which then it really looks bad because he didn't make good reads. His timing was off. Like, he didn't have a good game. I expect him to rebound. But I don't mind going to the 11-7 just so you have some additional options. Not to limit his minutes, not to take him out of the game, but just to have some options. So if someone is having a bad night, just gives you a little bit more flexibility. So I'm totally open to that.
All right, we're going to continue with this conversation. We're going to have Chris Abbott join us right now from Coolbet Canada. You can find him on Twitter at CoolBetChris. He has tickets to an afternoon Blue Jays game that he's going to be heading out to right away because he's basically taken up a residency at Ballpark in Toronto. But he joins us now. Chris, how are you, my man?
Season tickets were cheaper than rent, so I do need to live there. That's how it works.
That's true. You should spend more time there, I guess. Yeah.
You kind of look like a Roberto Alomar.
They're streaking, right? So it's good.
Yeah, what is it? 11 of 14, 7 in a row, something like that.
Yeah,
so,
7 in a row.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, they've been doing all right. It's kind of been exciting.
Bats have come around. There was a lot of injuries at the beginning of the year in the lineup, and a lot of guys played a lot of days. And I think just rotating a guy in and out here and there is breathe a little new life into the order.
Yeah, they started with 30 games in like 31 days. It was kind of ridiculous. All right, I want to quickly get to last night's game because if a lot of people were under the same thought of me of the under a lot in this Tampa-New York series, we got screwed last night. So I would assume last night was probably a good night for the book, wasn't it, Chris?
Yeah, great one for the book. You're the underdog that hadn't played a good goalie yet, and the all that narrative. So the risk would have been on Tampa in the under, and of course it's Rangers in the over in regulation. Tampa doesn't hit their goals total for the team total. Yeah, great night. Personally, I had the over just because I see I'm starting to think like the bookmaker. If everybody's on one side and all these companies have so much money, I'm just going to bet what people don't bet. That's just where it's at now.
Well, and a lot of those times you're getting the plus value on it too, so it usually works out. People are not going to the dog most of the time, so maybe that's a strategy. Hey, I'm looking at the Oilers game tonight. The total's set at 7, and the over is at -139. Chris, do you think at some point in this series we see a 7.5?
It's asinine. You might see it today, man. Like you should. Like, why are you laying -139 on 7? Because you hope for the push. You think it's going to end 4-3? Because it's probably not. So yeah, it's I've never seen anything like this. Not in my days. Like I'm sure if you go back to the 1980s and the Oilers were playing, maybe the totals were a little bit higher, but this is crazy. It's usually by this time in the playoffs 5 or 5.5, right? Yet people are still going to bet the over because there was goaltending questions coming in, and now there's a goaltending like Mensa test. It's not just a question anymore. So yeah, it's and you have all that offense. There's no reason to believe there will be many games in this series under 9 or 10 goals.
Well, even seeing
just watch you guys,
Rangers Lightning too. Like they're plus 6 at plus 129 over on the over. That's crazy. Like with those two goalies, that's nuts.
Here's the thing. Yeah. Here's the thing. Can I just point something out to you guys?
Yeah.
Can I just point something out to you guys? Chris, what did you say like 2 minutes ago about when everyone's saying one thing, you're going to say the other? Just watch what happens.
But I think it's different with this series. Yeah, are you honestly thinking, Cass, tonight it's going to be like a 3-2 hockey game?
You know what? Here's my thought is I think Edmonton, Colorado stays high scoring, and I think Tampa, New York locks down. That's what I think is going to happen between the two. If that's my guess anyways.
No, I mean, that's what any rational hockey watching mind would think. Like those goalies are going to play better. Tampa is as good as they are offensively. They're better defensively when they're playing their game. I think that's going to be an anomaly in the series, but you can't pitch to me how Colorado is going to stop Edmonton's top guys, nor how Edmonton's going to stop Colorado's top guys. I just don't.
Right. It's
I don't
true.
see it. Yeah.
I don't see it either. That's why I'm sitting here going, we're going to see a 7.5. Like you said it, we might even see it by today when that 7's at minus 139 right now, which is just insane. I mean, from a hockey perspective, this is incredibly fun to watch, is it not, Chris? Holy smokes.
It's fantastic. I was actually kicking myself. I was at the game. I was at the Jays game the other night, watching Kevin Gausman. So oddly enough, Dusty, game 1 of the Oilers Flames, you and I watched Kevin Gausman.
Yeah, we did.
Hit around the park. I went and watched him get hit around the park both nights. The Oilers score 6 and lose.
Yeah, which is totally bizarre. I saw something come in my email today. Oilers and Avs this year, both teams are scoring goals in the playoffs at the pace of a top 10 team all time, like offensively. That's what we've got our hands on here. Both teams are over 4.2 goals per game so far in the playoffs, and I just don't see how that gets. I mean, you might see one game, maybe 2 games in this series where there's 6 combined goals or something like that, but I would piss my pants if there's a 1-0 or 2-0 shutout in this series. It's not, these two teams aren't built for that. They're just not built for that. So
no, and if that happens, then you've got a goaltender putting on a Hall of Fame performance that you're talking about for years. One of these guys, I can see Koskinen having one of those nights, maybe. Like he has it in him, but I don't think the guys on Colorado do.
You know what's crazy is I got McDavid at 9.5 points for the series. He didn't play well in game 1 and had 3. So,
Chris,
it's insane.
Give me some advice. I need some advice. Like if I'm going to go into my bet builder with this Avs Oilers series for tonight's game, what would an expert like yourself do with the bet builder?
I think Bet Builder is made for this series, to be honest with you. I mean, if you went in and took everybody to score a goal the other night, you hit it. If you went in and got everybody to get a point the other night, you hit it. Like there's no, so that's when the Bet Builder is really fun for these games that are way over above the projected total. I'd every night would parlay McDavid and McKinnon. I'd parlay McDavid and Draisaitl. I'd parlay Draisaitl and McKinnon. So maybe put all 3 of them on there. Maybe 3 of them for over 1.5 points, something like that. You probably won't even get that good a payout because you might. But yeah, it's just absolutely wild. Absolutely wild. It's really exciting though. Honestly, Gager, I might not bet build for this. I might just go straight player props because you'll get the value, and they're probably going to hit.
Well,
what's really going to hurt tonight? Pavel Francouz shutout. That one's going to sting a lot of people tonight. That would be something else. Chris, we appreciate the time, buddy. I'll chat with you tomorrow on the Lock Shop, and enjoy that Jays game, man. I
will, man. I went to see Pavel Francouz on a night where I bet on the Avalanche in Vegas. He sucks, so don't expect him to pull one out of that.
There you go. Speaking from a man who lost money with Francouz in net. The only way to properly sum it up. Let's stick right there. That's a nice transition. Gager, have you seen much of Francouz? And he had a .916 save percentage in the regular season. He was 15-5-1 in the regular season. I'm sure they got some spots for him there. But what do you make of this guy, and how much does it change things for the Oilers?
Well, I mean, just by watching what he did in the second period coming in was pretty impressive. Like he did make some pretty good saves. He had to swim around a bit in there, but if the Oilers are thinking this is going to be a lot easier, I would caution to that. I really, to tell you the truth, either goalie I'm fine with the Oilers to play against. I don't see any difference in the way that the Oilers have been playing and scoring goals. It's the only time I would actually think they were in trouble is maybe going up against guys in the Eastern Conference that are still playing right now. That's the only chance I would say maybe there's something there. But I would definitely be trying to make it difficult tonight for him. Traffic, the old adage, traffic. Talking to him. Oh, you guys are in trouble now. All those little things that you can do to try to get guys off their game and try to score early. That's shoot everything, go for rebounds, make life very difficult for the guy, and go from there.
Yeah, Cash, you can't let this guy get settled in, right? Like that's the last thing you want. 4 shots in 10 minutes or something like that. Like,
Yeah, pepper this guy, pepper him, everything there. I mean, he's got the same weakness as everybody else. He's really weak on backdoor rebounds. So get there and get bodies at the net and try to find some of those plays. Like, you can't let him feel like he's got a chance to win. And I think the best thing you can do is put a seed of doubt in Colorado's head. Like, if you can score a couple goals and you make it really difficult early on for them, maybe there's that sliver of doubt in everyone's mind on the Colorado bench that Francouz can't get the job done. So I think like that start today, more than anything, that first 20 minutes is imperative for Edmonton, like to try to score a couple and to make life really, really difficult for him. And because if Kemper is hurt and he's going to be out for a week or 2 weeks, or it's something that he can't come back from right away, you get that sliver of doubt in their minds, and all of a sudden you're in the series battle. I think it gives you a big advantage. So important that they make it real difficult for him early.
That's a great point, Cass. Is we saw that at certain parts of the season with the Oilers when either Nico or Mike Smith were struggling, you saw a definite change in the way that the team defended. And it wasn't till the last few months of the season where I feel that the team felt comfortable with the guy they had between the pipes. If they can create that fear of this guy can't stop anything on the Avs side of things, and almost make them defend differently and get them into that situation where they're trying to do too much on the defensive side and getting out of position. That's really important. Great point.
Gage, your short leash on Smith tonight, or do you kind of just see how it goes depending on, I mean, they fell behind 2-0 in that game 2 against Calgary. I remember us texting being like, man, they got to get him out again. And they stuck with him and they came back and won. So I'd assume a similar type of patient approach.
Depends on the goals, I think, Dusty. If he's back in his net and they're scoring from the tops of the circles at the other end of the ice, then I'd say the leash is short. But if they're allowing 2-on-1s and he's getting across him, then I would say, you know what, let him battle through that. He's done it before, like you said, in game 2 in the last series. But it all depends on the type of goals that he allows. But he's got the goal, I mean, that Rantanen goal, that's a laser beam. And I know the Makar goal is a laser too, but those are soul-stealing shots where it's mano a mano against the shooter. You know, those are, you got to, and you have a clean look at those. You got to stop those in these types of situations. You got to get into the player's head thinking that they can't score on straightaway opportunities and look for something else. It just boosts their confidence. Oh, you know what? I can score from here. I'm going to let this thing buck.
Yeah.
Now that's, they're great shots. Don't get me wrong. But at this point, Mike Smith's got to have those.
All right, Cass, any appetite to possibly split up McDavid and Draisaitl at some point here? Just to get him away from Makar. One of them away from Makar. Maybe.
And that would just be to try to create a balanced attack. And the reality is that's only if Draisaitl is actually able to skate well enough to take on that center role. I talked at the start about how Edmonton didn't protect the middle of the ice well. They didn't have good support coming back through the neutral zone well. And if Draisaitl's not at 100% from a movement standpoint, or if he can only give you short bursts before, he can't really push with that ankle anymore, I don't think you can move that way. I don't think you can split them up. So I'm fine with trying it if you know that Draisaitl is going to be okay from a health standpoint to do what he needs to do.
All right, I think we've hit on everything heading into this game tonight. Outside of a prediction, I mean, we've seen the Oilers bounce back in game 2 so far. Now, Calgary's a pretty good team. Kings are a good challenge for the Oilers for sure. Colorado's a little bit of a different beast here, though, boys. Gager, do you think there's a bounce back tonight? Do you think they're coming home with a split? Because that would be, series on at that point. That would be pretty huge.
Okay, I won't give what I think. I'll give what I want. Okay. And I want a 6-4 Oilers win, empty netter Zach Hyman. That's what I want. Do I think it's going to happen?
Is what you're saying?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. What do you think is going to happen might be a little bit different. I'll be the guy who said. I'll just say this about tonight. I think the team will play much better. I know Mike Smith has bounced back a lot, but there's still this little part of me that's like, the team could play really good and Smith could still let them down. I don't know why. It's not fair. Like, I don't even think it's a good take anymore because he's done so well outside of game one. But there's just this weird little thing in my brain that I'm just like, I don't know. Cass, where do you come out on that? Or where do you come out on the game tonight, at least?
Edmonton Oilers win 7-1.
7-1. I have to stop sending it to you because you give me every single time. I'm like, Cass, give me a good breakdown. Edmonton Oilers 7-1.
No, let's break it down like this. If Edmonton's defensemen can do a better job of holding the middle of the ice, I think we're in for a tight game. If they can't, it's going to be real tough for the Edmonton Oilers tonight. Yeah. That's going to be my breakdown. To me, that's the game right there. Mike Smith bouncing back is a big one. Again, I don't think he was horrible, awful. He wasn't great. I didn't like some of the goals, but he wasn't horrible. So I'm not pinning this on him. He needs more support. Your defensemen have to be better. Your forwards have to do a better job supporting your defensemen. If they can do that and lock it down a little bit more, I do think they're going to be able to score goals on Colorado. So I think they win the hockey game.
Yeah, and if you like betting, you can get the Oilers over 3.5 goals tonight at plus 120. So that might be a Nielsen special tonight. I do think the Edmonton Oilers, I think 4 goal, I think they'll score 4 goals. I'm just not sure it'll be enough. That's the type of series it's going to be. So it's going to be a good one. Looking forward to it tonight. We will be back on Monday breaking down games 2 and game 3 Saturday night down at Rogers Place. It should be absolutely terrific. What are you guys doing tonight for the game? Gager, you got something on the go. Where are you heading?
Yeah, I'm taking my daughter and some of the dance friends to to Rogers to watch on the big screen. So that'll be fun. I'll see. It's great. Lots of kids. Should be exciting. And I think actually there's a lot of family members going. So my nieces are going to be there too. So it's a family outing at Rogers for the watch party. Can't wait.
Cash, you watching at home or what?
Yeah, I'll watch at home tonight. Yeah, it'll be a home watch game tonight. And
pre-game, post-game?
Yeah, pre-game, post-game. I know I'm going to the game on Saturday, which should be a blast. So I'm just I'm resting up.
I can't wait to be there Saturday. It's going to be good.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
My neighbor's brother-in-law bought a box for it.
Oh,
like, oh, jeez.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
so he's loaded.
He's loaded.
Yeah.
Or he's broke. One or the other.
Yeah, one or the other. Maybe both after that thing. All right, that's going to do it for another episode of Two Guys and a Goalie. Thank you very much. We'll be back on Monday. Tell your friends about the podcast, and they can start subscribing and downloading every episode as well. For Gager and Cass and our presenting sponsors at CoolBet, where you can get some action on tonight's game, go visit them at coolbet.com. I'm Nielsen. Enjoy your weekend, everybody, and we will talk to you on Monday. See you later, boys.
Later, boys.